my channel. In today's video, we are continuing our 12 Days of Christmas series. I appreciate you stopping back by. So I did a bunch of die cutting off screen, and today I'm going to be using a die that is not necessarily meant for Christmas, but I'm going to make it Christmassy. So it is a Simon Says stamp, excuse me, GNOME set, and I apologize, I do not know which one it is, but any GNOME die you have would work, or stamp that you have would work. I did take some Paper Studio cardstock and cut it out of this particular layering set. I really liked the scallop edges to this layering die, and I chose a die that fit behind my Pinkfresh Studio die set that I have been using a lot in this series. I also have this cover die, and I used it to dry emboss through my Spellbinders Platinum machine, just following the instructions on my machine to dry emboss. And I just dried and embossed using this particular cover plate, each of these Paper Studio green cardstock panels. I have this particular stamp and die set. I purchased these off of Amazon a long time ago, and one of the things that drew me to them was the punny sentiments. I'm a sucker for those, and just the kind of font and size of some of these sentiments, as well as one of this, and they had coordinating dies, also a huge draw. But this set is super fun because these gnomes have hands. I'm going to use this wooden sign here, but these gnomes have hands that you can stamp on there, and then they can hold things. They can hold a gift, they can hold a light, whatever you want them to hold, they can hold various things. And I thought that was so cute and so clever. Or you can leave them to where it looks like their hands are maybe tucked behind their back and you can't see them. But I just thought that was so cute. And it has a right and a left hand. And then there's, dies that'll cut out that adorable little gnome house and each of those individual gnomes, as well as that wooden sign, which is what we are going to be using from that particular set today. And again, I purchased this off of Amazon. I don't even know how long ago. I'm going to use a scattering of artist markers from Altenew to color in my images today. I'm not going to really show you the coloring. I didn't do any ink blending. I didn't do any color theory as far as shadowing or light sources, anything like that. I literally just colored it. You could use colored cardstock. You could use pattern paper. You could use, any alcohol ink backgrounds or whatever you wanted. You could use that, but I was going for speed, and this was the quickest thing. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down these green dry embossed die cut panels to each of these tags, and then just using some liquid glue. You could absolutely pop these up if you wanted to, but I just chose to keep these fairly flat. And I'm doing it to where the side that is pressed in is facing up. And I'm just using my liquid glue to glue those down in place. Now what I've done is I have taken one of the negative die cuts that I used to cut out that wooden sign. I've placed the die back into that negative space and put my little wood sign onto that die cut. This just makes sure that I don't have to chase around these dies. It just makes mass producing go a lot quicker. And then I'm going to rub my fingers over this the stamp set because I've never used it before, and usually there is a little bit of a manufacturing residue that remains on your stamps when you get them. And so just rubbing your fingers, there's stamp conditioning tools, and just actually using the stamp helps it stamp better over time. I'm going to use my Gina K Obsidian Amalgam ink to stamp each of these wooden signs out. I end up stamping them a couple of times just because I wanted a really deep, dark impression. I don't think that my ink pad necessarily needs to be re-inked. I've re-inked it fairly recently, but I just really wanted to get that inked really well. And because this is a new stamp, it just needed to be stamped a few times. And I'm going to go through and just pop it into each of these negative spaces and stamp each of these out. Then I'm going to place the Merry Christmas from that, also from one of those Amazon sets that I got, and put that into the middle of that sign using that same Gina K Obsidian Amalgum ink to stamp that out. And I do stamp that a couple times also, just to make sure I have a black line that is similar to the black line and depth of blackness that I have on the wooden sign. I just used some artist markers and some browns to color in this wooden sign, and I'm not going to show you the coloring in today's video or show you the colors I use, just because I don't do anything fancy, and that's not really the focus of today's video. And then I'm going to apply a flat color to these tunics. I'm going to use 2 different colors. So 3 of these, I'm going to make 6 tags today in total. So 3 of the tags, their tunic is going to be kind of a teal color. And then 3 of the tunics are going to be a red. Again, you could use whatever you wanted for these, pattern paper, etc. You could color them in however you wanted to, and you could get as fancy as you wanted to with the coloring, but I just chose to do just a very flat color. The pictures make my coloring look really, really terrible. I'll be upfront with you. It does not look that bad in real life. And some of the strokes actually give it some texture, but it really doesn't look that bad in real life. But in my pictures, it looks pretty terrible. I'm not going to lie. So something to keep in mind. But I'm just going to go through and put a flat layer of color over each of these images, finish coloring in my wooden signs. And then for the hats, I do the opposite. So again, I'm going to have 3 hats that are going to be the teal, 3 hats that are going to be the red. And so the hats that are red are going to be paired with the teal tunics and vice versa. So the teal tunics are going to be paired with a red hat, and then the red tunics are going to be paired with a teal hat. So just to give it a little bit of interest, keep my color selection limited, and that also helps kind of speed up the mass production process. These tags really didn't take very long. Again, you can make it even faster by using, whatever medium you're quick with as far as coloring is concerned. The only thing that I guess you could say that I did somewhat fancy, and it's not even fancy, y'all, is I just applied with a light gray marker, I applied some strokes to this gnome's beard. If you wanted to make him a younger gnome, you could use a brown or, whatnot, but I chose to make him an old man. And so I used just some light gray markers and just did like strokes. I wasn't particular. I made sure they all went in the same direction. And that's the only suggestion I have there as far as making it make sense. But make sure all your strokes are going in the same direction, but they don't have to be fancy. And then I took a colorless blender, which I discovered in this video. It has completely run out and dried out, so I need to purchase another one. But I tried to use that to kind of soften and blend those strokes just a little better. So really, only one gnome's beard is done this way because my marker dried out and I don't have another one. So, but it's okay. They don't look bad. The gnome's nose, I just did in a tan color, and again, just a flat color over the gnome's nose. For these wooden signs, I wanted to make them look like maybe they had a little bit of snow or some frost on them, so I took a white gel pen and just let it skip and run over kind of the tops of these signs in some random places, just to make it look like it had maybe a little bit of dusting of snow on it and give them a little more interest. And this is a 0.08 jelly roll pen from Sakura. Then I'm going to glue each of these pieces of this gnome down flat with some liquid glue. One of the things that I love about this gnome is that he has a shadow. So if you want to adhere him with the shadow, that is an option, or you can adhere him together without the shadow, also an option. But he only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces total if you include the shadow, which I get kind of overwhelmed when I have die sets, particularly critter die sets that have a lot of pieces, or the pieces are super teeny tiny. I end up not using them. I love how they look, and I love when other people create with them, but when I go to create with them, I get overwhelmed, and so I end up just not using them, which is very sad and a total waste of money. So that's one of the things that really drew me to this particular GNOME die set, is that it's easy to put together. The pieces are not super teeny tiny, and there's not a lot of them. So I just used liquid glue. I started at the tunic and worked my way up with the tunic, the beard, the nose, and then the hat. And they layer together so easily. They're really quite self-explanatory to put together. And there you can see where if they have a teal tunic, they have a red hat, and if they have a red tunic, they have a teal hat. And that just keeps your color selection cohesive, but also gives it just a little bit more interest as well. For the sentiment on the back of the stamp, I'm going to use this Altenew To and From holiday tag sentiment set. There I was showing you why I love Altenew's markers and products, because they coordinate. So I used the velvet marker to color in the red on those tunics and hats, and I'm going to use the velvet ink to color to stamp out the To and the From. That is one of the things that I love about Altenew's products is that they coordinate. That is one of the things that kind of turned me off in my crafting infancy, I guess you could say, to like Copic markers, is that I bought like a huge variety pack thinking, okay, these are meant to all blend together, and they were not. And so I would just get frustrated. And then I purchased a set of artist markers from Altenew, and I was like, okay, this is where it's at for me. I don't have to think about colors that coordinate together. They are meant to blend together, and they match their inks, they match their paper, they match their sprays, they match their watercolors. It all coordinates together, and that just makes my life so much easier. And that's one of the biggest draws that I have for their particular products. So here I'm taking some liquid glue. Everything is ready. It just needs to be assembled. So I'm going to take some liquid glue and glue these tags back to back. One that has the die cut and dry embossed panel, and then one that has the stamped To and From. Glue those together, and then now we are ready to add our gnome, and his coordinating sign. Again, I'm going to use liquid glue. I did choose to pop up the sign with some fun foam. This is actually from Dollar Tree. Those are foam squares from Dollar Tree. I find those in the automotive section, actually. They're kind of next to the automotive stuff and the like picture hanging. They're in there. And they just worked perfect. I needed one, and I just chose to kind of put it down nestled next to this gnome. I played with the location a little bit and just decided that was the best location. So once all of those are glued together, I do have some it's green ribbon from Hobby Lobby, as well as some red and white baker's twine from Hobby Lobby. The baker's twine is about 8 inches long, and then the ribbon is about 10 inches long. I went through my stash, and from BLINGEE Thingy on Etsy, I have these pearls. Some of them, 3 of them are iridescent, and then 3 of them are kind of a matte finish almost. And I'm going to glue those to the ends of these gnomes' hats. Just using some liquid glue. I thought that added a nice touch. If I would have had white pom-poms in my stash, little tiny white pom-poms, I would have used those, but I didn't. So these little iridescent pearls are bigger than what I would use on a card, and so this was a good use of them in today's video. So just going to glue those down flat with some liquid glue to each of these gnomes tags, just to kind of finish off their hats and add a little bit more interest and dimension to each of these little gnomes. Next thing I'm going to do is take that green ribbon, fold it in half, and then I'm going to take that loop and loop that through the front of the tag, pull it through, and then take the loose ends and open up the loop, and take the loose ends and put those through, and then kind of tug until it is tight. And then I'm going to take that baker's twine, and I'm going to tie a little bow around the base of this ribbon, and then trim off any excess that I have. I do fiddle with these bows for like an exhaustive amount of time, just because I am not a very good bow maker. A granny knot and a knot that I would tie on my shoes is about as good as it gets for me. So I do fiddle with these for an inordinate amount of time. But after that, I think, yes, I do add some SPECTURM NOIR clear glitter brush pen to each of these signs just to make them look a little sparkly. And I do add it to their hat. Something to be aware of, particularly when you're switching between colors. You may want to wipe off the tip of your marker just so that you don't color transfer. But other than that, these tags are done. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope you feel inspired. I hope you stick around for the rest of the tags in the series, or projects in the series. And if you've missed any, I hope you'll go back and check them out. Until then, we will see you next time, and I hope that you have a happy holiday crafting. We'll see you next time. Bye.